Hello everyone, and welcome to the Tiny Painting Corner. Today we have a little bit of a different setup, but that is okay. Today we are going to be painting Neptune, as you can see here, a lovely blue planet. And before we get started, as you know, we have to get through with the basics to make sure everyone has everything that they need. You're going to need paper towels. I used to like to use about 3 sheets. One to go under the cup. As you know, I always have the boys right here. I like to have one underneath my palette, just in case there's any spillage. There's our palette here. You will be having your little paint tubing. You could put it under there as well, just in case. I'm going to have that there. I'm going to put that off to the side, but it's still here. And then I like to have one folded in half, because it's a small painting, right under the canvas. Mine is still wrapped, and yours might be too, so we could just crack open into that. There we go, fresh new canvas. And of course, you're going to need a pencil so you can draw the planet. You're going to need your 3 brushes. Now you're going to have this brush. I have the exact one as you do, the medium-sized brush that's blue. You're going to have a skinnier brush, which most replicates this one I have here. I have a skinnier brush that's either black or blue color for you guys. As you see with the bristles, is much skinnier than the blue one I just showed. And then you're going to have a bigger flat brush. Now mine is an angled flat brush, but your flat brush works just the same. Those are 3 brushes you're going to have. Ignore the extra 2 I have here. Those are not going to be needed. Also remember, you should get a lid. I like to use yogurt lids, or maybe like old tubs of butter lids if you have those. Put some aluminum foil around it, so if you need to mix any paints, which I believe we are going to have to do a little bit of mixing, your paint will not dry out on you as you're mixing, and you have a nice surface to work on. So you should pause it for a moment and get that if you don't have it, but if not, let's keep going. So I'm going to move this out of space so you can see canvas here. Now, you can use a non-mechanical pencil like a regular one. I like to use those normally, but this is the one I usually have with me at work. And so, to draw the planet, you know, it is just a basic circle. You're going to take it and just draw a circle. You want to be very light with your strokes. So if you need to erase it, because you could have made an oval of some sort, you're able to go back and fix that without having too many eraser marks or too many dark marks. You see, this is not perfect, but that is okay. It's still pretty much a circle. This space right about, looking at it backwards, over here, you want to leave this space open. Let me draw like a little square for you guys. You want to leave that space open right there for when we draw our symbol, the little symbol for Neptune. You want to keep that nice and open. So I'm going to move this out of the way so that we are able to focus on the painting. The first thing you're going to do is just go over the painting with a basic blue color. Now I go in, here's my cup, featuring the boys. You go in, clean it off, dab it off a little bit. I like to get it pretty dry during this point. You want to have it be a little damp. I tested on my hands. You should see like little moisture lines on it. And the blue you are going to go with, I know we have 4 different shades of blue, but they're all different. The blue we're going to start with is a nice base blue. It's a deeper blue, but it's not too deep. We're going to go with this one. It is the second lightest blue. You don't want to go with the lightest blue, but the second lightest blue. And you want to get a good glob amount on your brush. And what you're going to do is just paint the entire planet blue. Let's go around. It doesn't matter the kind of brush strokes you use. I like to go a little bit easy around the edges, do light semicircles around the edges. And if you made it a little bit your circle a little bit imperfect and you wanted it to be more of a perfect circle, this is a time where you could broaden your circle, is when you're painting it right now. This is the reason why I wanted to go lighter on the strokes, because it's a slightly lighter color, the paint, and you will see the pencil markings if it is too dark. So you don't want to drive that graphite into your canvas. Just be very light with the strokes. You don't have to be very heavy here, because it's going to be pretty opaque. As you can see, I already have a pretty opaque blue marble going on here. And you just go around like so, very lightly around the edges. I use just barely the tip to go around the edges, because I do not want to go too far, because once you've gone too far, you can't go back until you start painting the sky, and that's like around the last steps that we do. So you want to be pretty careful. And there you go, we have our base of the planet right here. You can smooth out any white patches you see. I like to go with a little flatter end and then go around to blend it all together. So circle moment. There it is. Sorry. Our next part that we are going to do is that we're going to deepen the edges. Now, the difference when it comes to Neptune between Mars and when we had Saturn, I kept telling you to trust the process, trust the process. For Neptune, on the bright side, you don't necessarily have to trust the process, because Neptune is basically just blue. It has some deeper shades of blue in between there, that lovely gas giant, but it's basically just various shades of blue. So mainly you're just going to be blending. So there is not going to be any point when we are painting this planet that it is going to look bad. So that is a plus. I moved over and I got our skinnier brush here. I dabbed it off onto the towel a little bit. And so it's like pretty dry on my hands. Sorry about my chip nail polish, everyone. And we're going to go in using, trying to get in the frame here. We're going to go in and using this purpley blue. It's going to look more like a royal blue. You're going to dip in just a little bit on the tip, just like that. Probably shouldn't have worn a blue shirt, because now it's hard for you to see. But in between Snoopy's foot, you can see the little dab of blue. We're going to move that to the side. And what we're going to do is just add a bit of shading. So what we're going to do is, oh, that's upside down. There we go. From this half up to this half, we're going to add shading lines going through to deepen it. And to do that, you're going to go back and forth with little zigzags like this, very lightly to blend it. And then like quick strokes like that. I didn't touch the canvas to the paintbrush yet, so you're not seeing any color. I'm just showing you the brush strokes. And that's what we're going to do to deepen that up a little bit. So I'm going to do that right now. And the reason why we don't start off with a lot of paint at first is because you want it to blend in just a little bit on your first try. And so when we're going in, you're going to go a little bit deeper into it right there. You see how that's a little deeper? As you go down, it's going to lighten it up. And that's what we want, because this is just our first coating. And take that. This is one of my personal favorites of the planets that we have done, because it's a more simple painting, but it looks really beautiful because of all the subtle blendings of the different blues. We're going to dip back in to that royal bluish purple color, and we're going to start deepening those lines. Now you may notice some of your paint is picking up a little bit, but that is okay. We're going to do another big line right here though, right at the bottom. See, just like that. Go back and forth. And then you should have something looking upside down again. So sorry. You should have something that looks like this. And you see how it's deeper over there, just very slightly. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that slight deepness because we're going to go in with the same blues over and over again in one area. It's all about blending this painting. Our next step is to go back in, as you see here. We're going to go and dip back into this blue, the first blue we used, the second lightest blue. Have a good glob of that. Let me find Snoopy's foot. There we go. That's our focus point, Snoopy's foot. You're going to go in and we're going to smooth this out because you're going to see, sorry about that, you're going to see some white edges in there. And we do not want the white. But that was the first coat, so you go through and you deepen it. And you take the brush and you go a little bit into where we had our deep royal blue ones. And with enough royal blue, it's going to blend it out itself. It's going to come in. We're doing quick light strokes. We're going to be very light. There's not a point in this painting which you're going to use heavy brush strokes. It's still the same color. Everything's going to be nice and light and fluid. And be very careful not to go too heavy because that's when you're going to start picking up paint, and at this point that's not what we want. Just to let little zigzags into it. And see how it's already like starting to look blended? That's what I was talking about with this planet. It is very calming to paint because it just always looks very pretty, blended and blue. It's like the ocean, hence the name Neptune. As you know, is the Roman name, or you may not know. It's the Roman name for the Greek god Poseidon, which is the god of the seas. And if you're a SpongeBob fan, they do call the king of the sea Neptune instead of Poseidon. One of the, like, if you saw the SpongeBob movie, you know what I'm talking about. And we're going to go in with a new color, actually, right now, which is fun, which is our deepest, our deepest midnight blue. And on camera, I know it looks black, but this is black, reference, deeper, midnight blue. Very pretty color. I put too much on. We're going to dab just a little bit, find Snoopy's foot. See that? Just that much. This is where we're going to start right at this bottom. Much like Jupiter though. Neptune does have little storms going on. It's not as great as Jupiter's great storms, as you know, is like with the great red eye. And what we're going to do, this at the bottom, notice where the square is. That always indicates the bottom. We're going to take this and we're going to make a little semicircle very lightly. It's one of those colors where once it's on, it's not coming off. Very lightly with just the tip. Make a little semicircle right here. Just like that. It should look like a bowling ball mixed with a baseball. Now I'm going to take this and go onto my paper towel where I have my palette. And I'm going to get rid of this extra paint I have on there because I don't want any more of the blue. And And what we're going to do now is you're going to take it, hold this paintbrush like you would a pencil. This is how I hold a pencil. You do not have to copy my stance. I hold pencils weird. But you hold it as if you're holding a pencil. And like if you are shading something in on a pencil, that's what we're going to use. We're going to use that brush stroke to shade this in. Well, we're going to do it very lightly, very quick like this onto the canvas. Like so. You're going to notice it's going to take a little bit of it off, but that is okay because that's what we want. We don't want that for the rest of us, so make sure you don't go out of the deep blue line. You do not want to pick up the other blue because then we're going to have to paint back over that if you do. All right, and it should look like this. It shouldn't look completely blended yet because we have to go in with like 3 different other blues in that section. We're just getting that foundation so we know it's there. And so we're going to go in. Once again, get that midnight blue, dot that in. A wee dot on Snoopy's flex. You're going to go with Snoopy's belly. See that wee dot? That's what we're going to use. And we're going to create a storm. Because like I said, Neptune has a storm of its own. We're going to create that storm by making a C. And you're going to extend that C. You're going to give that C a tail. Like this. Should look like almost like a cat eye look if you're into makeup. You're going to lightly blend that in. You don't have to brush this off. You could just lightly blend that in like this. Using just the tip of the skinnier brush. And if you feel like the skinnier brush isn't doing the job for you, there's also another hack you can use. You gotta clean this off. I always keep showing that side. There we go. See the different boys. Clean that off. What you can do if you find the other brush is a little bit too skinny for you, what you could do is take your medium-sized brush and while it's still wet, you cone it up and make it into a fine point, as fine as you can get it. Right at the tip, and then you'll get this shape. Now this will be a little bit trickier to work with when it comes to detailing, but it'll be a little bit thicker for you if that's what you like. But you have to be careful to be very light, like extra light if you go with this method, because you can easily, like as soon as you press on it, it could start to flatten it out, like as you see here. And then the more you go into it, the more it flattens out. So you have to be very light with textures such as like this. See, I'm barely touching it. That's what you want to use if you want to go with this method. It's an alternative. You don't have to. If you're fine with the skinnier brush, you can keep with the skinnier brush. Just had a little segue to tell you about that. Next, we are going to go back in. Oh, sorry, gotta bring that back. Going to go back in to our royal purpley blue. Have a nice big glob this time. Personally, think this is one of the prettiest blues of the palette. And where we had the royal blue last time, you're going to go through. At this point, the paint should have dried a little bit, so it may be a little bit easier for you to work with. Now you're going to go into the eye, not too much, just a little bit. That's the eye of the storm. And go down, 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 zigzag, 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 into the bottom as well. It is okay for you to paint over that because, like I told you before, things are just going to get blended. Sharp, quick lines. Very still light. You want to keep it light. And as you see, I went outside the lines a little bit, but that is okay. It's okay to go outside the lines when you're doing the little zigzags because it is much easier to cover up a little zigzag mishap than the whole shape. because if you made your planet too wide and then you wanted to color it in with black, it'll mess up the detailing. But if you go out of line where you're doing detailing, like you're doing like the quick lines and you go a little bit out, that's okay to cover up in black. I just want to specify that for you so you don't freak out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean off the brush as I always do. So you can see it. After viciously tapping. Coming back, clean that off, dab, dab, dab. Test it on my hand. Put that there. And we are going to go have a little fun here. And we are going to dabble in some mixing, which is always fun. So you're going to take this light blue here. Take a large glob. Find a clean spot on this palette. Very hard to find. And you're going to put that there. Get a nice glob. Blah, 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 blah. Put that there. Clean off my brush a bit. And then you're going to go into the royal blue. Glob that, dip that in, and then you're going to mix that in. Go in, oh, clean that off. Go into that royal blue again. Spin it like you're scooping up spaghetti. And then you're going to glob that in once again. It's always fun mixing colors. You should have this slightly different shade of blue. I know it looks very similar to the first blue we worked with, but it's slightly different. The slight difference makes a whole difference. And now you gotta be careful with this next part. This could get you in trouble if you put too much. You're gonna go into the midnight. Sorry, I have prongs now. I do. You're gonna go into the midnight. Dab just a little bit in there. Just a little bit of the midnight. And we're gonna put it in here. It's going to deepen it up just a wee bit. It's the subtleties. It's going to give it a bit of a different undertone. All right. So now we have our new color. What you're going to do is clean off your brush because that's way too much of our new color. And clean it off. Sorry, you can't see that. Clean that off. Test on hand if you want. And you're going to dip in to our new color, which is always fun. And this is going to work as a blending shading color. So you're going to take this color and take it on the outskirts. Now you're going to notice it's much thicker and a little bit more liquidy. So you're going to want to be careful because this stuff is going to cover up all your other colors if you do too much. It's a lot of zigzag lines that we're going through. You're going to put this color here as well. Dip into it. And go put that around the edges right here. So you can see. Go down. And just fill this whole area with that new color. And at the very end, you're going to want to take your brush, use the very tip, lightly jag it out so it's not even. You don't want the evenness. You want to have the lines because that'll help with blending. It'll make it look more blended. And what you're going to do, is you're going to go into the purple again. And you're going, well, it's not purple, it's bluish purple. You're going to dot that along the edges. Just dot that. Like so. And these little dots. And then without cleaning off your brush, you're going to go into midnight. And very lightly, I may add, you are going to do little zigzags right here. You're going to add one up here too. I know this is going to premiere after Thanksgiving, but I hope everybody had a lovely Thanksgiving. I know it's a weird time during pandemics, but as long as you live with one person, you always have at least somebody there for you for Thanksgiving. And even if you don't, it's food. You get to enjoy food and be thankful for being able to have a nice meal. I'm gonna bring that in. You see, right at the top, where we had that lighter blue, you should have put enough where it was still kind of wet. And you're going to go into that and blend it upwards and downwards into where we have the darker color. And that's going to create some new blending and a new color for us without even trying, which is so nice. We always appreciate that. The great things about the planets, actually, is that it never quite always looks the same. Every picture you look up of the planet, there's never one that's like identical, because it's always taken at a different time, a slightly different time, slightly different angle. And because with these gas giants, because they're literal clouds of gas, they're always moving around. It's always something different. So while in one instance it could look like a picture, like say it looks like this, and the clouds look exactly like in this method from when I took the picture, but once we get done here, it's going to look slightly different from what I originally painted. But that would also still look like Neptune, because that's just the beauty of a gas giant. We don't get that luxury with our rocky planets, but we are lucky enough with planet Earth to have clouds. So every time we take pictures of Earth, we get a slightly different look because of the cloud formations. That is, fun fact, that's like one of my favorite things about the gas giants, is how versatile and different they look because of their gas. We're going to go in with the blue. Sorry to go off on a tangent like that. I just kind of thought about it. It's like one of my favorite things about the gas giants. Gonna go in and paint that. Deepen that up. You're gonna zigzag your way on through. You're gonna use the flatter part. You want to blend that out down here. Go into it like so. And we're gonna go back to our original color. There we go. Gonna dip into that original color, and we're going to just lightly semicircle that around here. Leave it as is, don't blend that in. Keep that as is. And we're gonna go into this right here and color in some parts. This method that I'm using here, the zigzag, is something we're going to be using a lot in this painting, if you haven't already noticed. That is the best way to get these textures of Neptune, is to go with this light zigzag. Because like I said, they're clouds, it's gas. You want to be light and airy. You don't necessarily want to be like a fluffy cloud, but like a wispy cloud. Now the fun is about to begin, because we are going to add some white, which is always a good time. When we add white, that means we're adding texture, and we love texture. So without cleaning off the brush, you could dip into this white. It's going to be pretty thick, so prepare yourself. It's going to cause quite the stir. Now you may have lost it in the mix of blending in, but right here is the eye. Not sure if you can see it in your own painting, but very subtly you should be able to see that eye. And what you're going to do is add a dot right here, stretch it out, add a tiny dot right here, take a little line at the top, very lightly, the skinniest line you could possibly make using the very tippity tip of the brush. Put a line right there, a line a little bit here, a line over here, dot right here, dot right there. You should have a little triad of dots. Then line right here, going up, zigzag, and a puff, which is where you're going to, I should explain what I mean by the puff, is where you take the very tip of the brush and you lightly dot it, making a bit of a puffy texture. See how it looks like a little puff? Now with that, don't get scared. I know it looks weird. I know I promised you it wasn't going to look weird, but listen to me. It looks beautiful. What you're going to do is you're going to clean off the brush, wet it a little bit, almost did it dry. Wet your brush a little bit, you should still feel some moisture. You're going to go over those lines lightly with your brush. Clean off any excess in between, just for a light blending. Don't go too hard on the eye. You do need that white there for the eye. So don't blend that away too much. This is just to muddy it up just a little bit, like that. Muddy that up. Do the same right here, just a little light zigzags. Clean, clean, clean. Muddy that up. Puff it and muddy. That's fine. That can stay as is. Now, next up we are going to do is we're going to create, once again, a new color. Now this color is going to be a little bit difficult to make, so bear with me. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this blue, your lightest blue, dab that here, roll onto your lid, clean off your brush. You don't have to use water if you don't want to. Whole chunk of white. Put that in here. Mix that together. You're going to get this nice cloudy baby blue. That's not what we want. That is just the base, so don't get excited. We're not using that. And then you're going to go into the royal blue. You're going to mix that in. We're getting there. This should start looking periwinkle, and that is a-okay. And that's because this blue has a purple tone to it. If you mix blue and purple together, you're going to get periwinkle. And we're going to go in with the second shade. You're going to blend that in. It's going to look a mess. I told you this is a lot of blending because it's a special color we have to make. Gonna go into midnight. Dab of that midnight. Add that midnight in there just to deepen it up a little more. Clean off your brush. Go back in with the lightest blue. Mix that in. Clean that off. Go into the midnight a good amount. Blend that in. Now you're going to want to make sure this color does not run out because we don't want to make this again. It is something we don't want to do. It's too much paint wasted if it dries out, so we got to work with it quick. It's going to look like a weird muted color, but that's okay because we're going to bring it back to life with, you guessed it, the second blue. You're going to mix it in again. Tab it off, going back in with this royal blue. You should get this fun little swirled color. Go in with the royal blue again. Mix that together. And boom, we got our color. I know it took some process, but we got it. And it's beautiful. And it's just what we needed. Now this color we are going to use at the bottom. Don't forget to wet your brush again. Wet your brush again so it's nice and moistened. And you're going to dip in to our brand new color. And move this off to the side for us. And sorry, I think there's a fire going on past the building. We're going to take this color and you're going to put it at the bottom. I know we did all that for a bottom color. I know, I'm sorry, but it's necessary. We need it. And you're going to put that there, right at the bottom, like so. You're going to blend it outwards to complete the semicircle. And you're going to dance that around here as well. And you're going to take the royal blue, actually, one thing, and you're going to add a little white to it. You're going to add a little white and a little royal blue. It's easier to go from white to blue, by the way. Should have mentioned that before. Go white to blue. What you're going to do with that is you're going to take that and take it on this side. And you're going to put it around the rest of the planet. You're going to go around some of these shapes. Now you're going to be looking at this like, what the heck is this? Why is this? Why are you doing this to me? We just ruined my perfect, beautiful marble blue that I have, but it's okay. Trust the process. I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in. I'm going to go around. Now with this weird purple color, you might be asking yourself, why on earth did she just make me do this? The reason is because we're about to paint over it with, you guessed it, second blue. Second blue is our best friend when we are painting Neptune. It is our base color of our planet and it will help us in the long run in so many ways. I'm going to sit there and blend this out throughout. Put this blue on top of it. We want to be careful to not cover up any of the whites we just laid down. Then you're going to clean that off. Go in with just royal blue. And you're going to paint over that again. Remember how when we were doing Saturn and we painted over a whole lot of the same colors over and over again? And we created a really cool color and a really cool effect. Same thing's happening here. That's pretty much the same thing you will be doing with all gas giants. Now, I have not dabbled in the Jupiter arts, but I would imagine it's the same. Also, another planet fun fact for you, just in case you were wondering. All of the planets have the Roman gods' names instead of the Greek gods' names, except for Uranus, when Uranus is the Greek god name. I don't know who Uranus is. I've never actually heard of that Greek god, but I do know it is a Greek god opposed to the Roman name. And if you're wondering which ones are which, everyone knows Venus is Aphrodite, and we know about Neptune, because I just told you Neptune is Poseidon. Jupiter is Zeus. Earth is Earth. Or not named after a god, it's just Earth. Mars is Aries. Mercury is Hermes. And I'm pretty sure, and Pluto, even though he's no longer considered a planet but a dwarf planet, that is Hades. And Saturn is not a god, but a titan, and is named after the Greek titan Kronos. So what we're going to do after we have this, I know it's looking weird, trust me, we're going to go into the midnight blue. And we're going to dance this around the edge to deepen that up. Now we're not done with the planet, so don't get like too scared. We're not leaving the planet like this. It's not going to look this weird. What we're doing is we're allowing that to dry. And we're going to put this up at the top as well to deepen it. And then add some more midnight right here. Because we put like a lot of paint over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to get back to it. More of the little midnight. And we lost our eye in the process, so we're going to repaint our eye. We're going to repaint very lightly. Over here. And right under the cloud, dip into that midnight again. We're going to add a little midnight right here. We're going to add a little puff of its own. And right above this, we're going to add kind of like an eyeliner to that. Now, while we wait for that to dry, what we're going to do, going in, is going to get our big brush. Big fun, we've been waiting. And we're going to paint this whole sucker black. So, you're going to dip into that black. If you've been here before, you know we use a large glob of black because it's most important to be opaque. I'm going to show you my hands, what I do. When I have it facing the back, I have my 2 fingers here. So I can have full control over the canvas and I don't have to worry about touching it too much. So when I'm painting, I don't get black all over my fingers. Now, you don't have to have any kind of particular brush stroke for this. You just have to be careful around the edges because you don't want to go in, because once the black is there, the black is not leaving. So you're going to want to be careful around the edges, but other than that, you can have whatever kind of brush stroke you want. And we're doing this process right now instead of waiting till the whole planet is done, because like I said, we're trying to wait for this section to dry. Sorry, I had to change my hand motion so I could show you how I'm painting this. I am painting upside down right now. I'm going to cut my little marble in half. Not really in half, but like just a little bit. I'm going to put it down because it's a little hard for me to do that part upside down. We are going to paint that. Now the goal is to have it as round as possible, even though I know the planets themselves are not they're not perfectly round. Also, fun fact about planets, they don't orbit in circles, they orbit in a shape called an ellipse. It's kind of like an oval. That's a better way to think of it. Okay. Boom. We're out here. Upside down. There we go. As you see, this is drying down pretty nicely, but it's still not completely dry, so we're going to keep painting the sky. we're going to go in with the second coat of black. Got my hair in there. And we are going to make that really deep. This is your first time making it to a tiny painted corner. First of all, welcome. How are you? I hope everything is fine. Hope you're enjoying this tiny painting corner that is both calm and also slightly chaotic at times. But if you are a returning person, you know about how I love a good deep black sky when it comes to painting these planets, because it really, oh sorry, I was covering it. It really adds to the painting. It really makes the planet pop out. It creates that vacuum of space that makes the planets look so amazing, so bright, without illuminating their own light. You know, they get most of their light from, you know, the sun. But sun is quite bright. But you know, things shine, like they get so much shine in like contrast when you look at it, because of just all of the gases that surround it and the deep black vastness of space, and it makes it so incredible and amazing to look at. It's like, if you haven't really like looked at space pictures, you could think of it of how jewelers, when they're showing off the diamond and how brilliant and sparkling it is, they always have it on a black backdrop so you can see how bright it is and for it to stand out more. Think of it like that if the space reference doesn't help. So, we have this, and now what we're going to do is bring that deeper blue back that we had before. I'm looking at this upside down. Okay. So what we're going to do is you're going to take our medium brush, he's back. You're going to go into this lighter blue, which is a little bit more greeny. And yes, I said greeny. And we're going to go in and paint into that. And before you think to yourself, why couldn't we do this in the first place? It's because this adds a slightly different undertone underneath it, which is what we wanted. You need to be very careful though. Oh, sorry, let me lift that up for you. You have to be very careful at this point because the rest of it is pretty much painted. We are just filling in some gaps and blending. So you're going to want to make sure to not overshadow any of the extras, such as this purple area right here, our under part right here, and our white parts. You want to go over those too much. You go over a little bit, but not too much, because it'll blend it in and make it look a little bit like lighter blue, which is what we want. I'm going to go in to our royal blue. Keep the other blue still on there. And you're going to zigzag your way on down. Lightly go back over those zigzags to blend it out. It should feel like you're not even touching the canvas, but you are. It is making the lightest wisps. And because that other blue is still quite wet, it's making it absolutely perfect, just how we want it. Like so. Okay. Now we are going to go back in to the royal blue. It's just like 80,000 shades of blue, basically. So just think of it like that. We're going to go into the eye using this brush. Lightly wisp that in. Lightly wisp that in over here. And over here. What we're going to do is just add little texture lines throughout. And we're going to just lightly move this across the canvas. It is very important you keep your hand very light during this part. This is the lightest it should be. It should feel like you're barely touching the canvas, because if you press down too hard, it's going to ruin the effect. See our planet? It's upside down for you. Our planet is looking very cute, very lovely. We love it. Now the next part, what we are going to do is that we are going to add a bit of a highlight around the planet to make it look like it's more 3D. To do that, let me find my right brush. There it is. Okay. To do that, you're going to clean off your skinnier brush. Here we go. And you're going to go into that lighter blue. And you're going to put that right at the edge. And you're going to make it nice and thick and go around the edge with it. Sorry. See it close above my hand. And you gotta go around the edge like so to show just little moments of highlight. You don't want to go and put the highlight over here, because that's where we have shadow. So that's going to ruin the effect. Keep the highlights on this side of the planet. Shadows over here, highlights over here. We're going to shadow that in a second. But I'm going to dip back in just very slightly, very lightly. Find a part of Snoopy to show you. See? Very lightly. And you're going to go down right there. And see how that added a bit of a 3D effect? That's exactly what we wanted. Bring it up. And bring it towards the top too. Like that. And next we're going to add the shadow. So once again, we're going into the midnight. Find part on Snoopy, just like that. And we're going to take that and you're going to put it around the edges. And you're going to go into the royal blue. You're going to put that around the edge too. You're going to want to meet it a bit right here. Go back into the midnight. And right here, you're going to lightly add some more midnight color. Very lightly, very light zigzags. Add some more shadowing. Back into the midnight very lightly. Add a bit more shadowing in certain spots. You don't want to go too hard, because then we're going to have to repaint spots, and we don't want that. You want to keep this edge right here very purple, though. You want to be able to see that royally blue purple color right there. Go into blue number 2 again. Put a nice glob right here. Another highlighting effect. Clean that off. into the royal blue. Clean it off just a little bit. You only want a little. Dot in the royal blue again in this area. And add a little bit of that navy. Dot that in and then blend. And blend it into that. Cause a little bit of a highlight, which is what we want. And you're going to want to round that off a little bit more. So we're going to go into the royal blue and cause this to round off by forcing a roundness into it. And then you can zigzag your way on up. Add some dots in here. Now, as you can see, our plan is looking like this, which is very cute. Maybe I might be asking yourself, why does this one look like it has less brush strokes? Well, the answer is because I varnished it. When you use a nice varnish, it really blends in all your paint together. And it's very nice. Like, the amount of paint that I used on this one compared to this one is the same. And once you spray it over, it blurs a lot of things together, and it really helps. It's one of my favorite parts of the varnish. Also keeps it nice and protected. You could get some for yourself if you really want to varnish some of your tiny paintings. I do recommend. You can find it at Walmart or Michael's or Joann's even. Now, we're going to go back in to the black. I know you thought we put enough, but you can never have enough. So we're going to add once again, another coat of this black. We're almost there. I made a mistake upon painting backwards and upside down at the same time. I cut off a bit of my planet, but that is okay because I could just paint that back on in a second. The edges don't necessarily matter too much because nobody really sees the edges. I used to suggest with my earlier tiny painting corners is that you, if you would like, you could actually paint the edges a different color for a pop of fun, which I think is always fun. Obviously, I just said it was fun, so it's fun to me. Now, as you can see here, my planet now looks like a jar because I accidentally cut it off as I was going around the edge because I was painting upside down, so I could not fully see what I was doing. But that is an easy fix. If you do the same thing, that's an easy fix because all you gotta do is re-highlight the edge. To do that, you take the light pink, blue that we were using last time, and you just bring that along the edge. And you do the same down here, and then clean it off, and you take the royal blue and you put it on this side, blend that in. Clean off your brush and blend that on in. Make sure not to touch the black too much because then it makes your planet black. But yes, that is an easy fix. it happens. Especially if you're like me and you're painting backwards. But you guys shouldn't be painting backwards. Don't make life more difficult for yourself. Don't paint backwards like me. I'm just painting backwards so I'm able to show you guys. But yes, I'm going to show you how I fix this just in case any of you guys fell across a problem and you guys feel worried about it. It's very easy to fix. You just go around, dot it. You might be thinking to yourself, my planet's gray now. Why? Because there's black in it now. And so we have that issue to work out. But that's okay because there's nothing that royal blue cannot do. You dot that royal blue on. You shade that royal blue in. But if you want it to be the same exact color as you had it last time, that is no problem at all, because that can easily be fixed by the simple process of waiting. If you wait for the paint to completely dry, you would be able to paint over it very easily without it picking up the blue or the black in the background. I went back to the light blue, by the way, so I could get more of that lighter color back in. But because it's still wet, you're not going to want to do a lot of our lighter strokes where you make little wispies. You're going to want to do the dot and drag a bit, mainly dot. And once you have enough, then you could drag it along. Make sure you blend it into your painting so it doesn't look weird. This side because I have a lot of blue over here. See how that fixed that? No need to panic. Did I tell you that one time I was painting a picture for someone for Christmas? The sky was white, mind you. It was a winter scene. And I dropped my paintbrush onto the canvas that had purple on it. And I just dipped back into the lighter color again. I got a large purple splotch in the middle of my white winter sky. And at the time I was very frustrated, I must admit, because I spent a very long time perfecting that sky. But I didn't want to get rid of the painting because the rest looked so beautiful. So what I did was I simply adapted and I made the sky into a rainbow winter sky. So the moral of the story is, if you do something to muddy up your painting in a way that you were not expecting, don't be upset. There's always a way for you to fix it. There's always something that you could do to make it look something new, because art is subjective and it doesn't have to be perfect, because no one knows what it's supposed to look like except for you, really. It could look like anything. And like I said, with the beauty of these planets, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. It could look similar to mine, because the gas giants don't even look like themselves all the time. They look slightly different with the ever-changing clouds. So fret not, my tiny painters. There's always a solution. Oh, upside down. I got paint all over my fingers. There. As you see, it's still quite wet. So we are going to give it a moment to dry, and I will be right back to show you how to make the lovely Trident. Okay, so we are back. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going to take this brush right here, and we are going to dip in the black, I know, once again. And we are going to smooth it over with this brush. I'm just going to smooth over any lines that we may have from when it dried with this brush. There's not any particular brush strokes. You're just painting over the lines that you may see and just making it one opaque color once again. Be careful around the planet as always so we don't have to repaint it again. This is a much thinner coat, so we don't really have to wait too long for it to dry. So what we're going to do at this point is we are going to take, I'm trying to find the brush, sorry. We are going to take our skinny brush again. We are going to paint our stars, which is by far the easiest part, thank God, of the painting. Because all you have to do, it's upside down again, but that's okay. All you have to do is take the skinny brush like so, put a nice glob of the white on here. As you can see, I don't even need to reference it against Snoopy. What you're going to do is you're just going to add little dots wherever you may see fit. They could be big, they could be small, be medium-sized dots. You could do clusters even if you want. For this one, I'm going to go a little bit heavier on my stars than I normally do. Sorry if you see me hovering a bit in this section. I just don't have like a stance for my hand to rest on as I'm showing you how to do the dots. So if I hover, it's just me trying to find a good balance with my hand so I can show you the dots and not be in your way. And actually, fun fact, if you were to look at the planet, you would not see this many stars. You would not see this many stars by the planet at all. But that is okay, because it looks really cute here, and that's what we're going for. You could put no stars if you want as well. That's also an option. I just like a lot of stars for this. I think it looks really fun and cute with all these stars. And the next thing we're going to do, now for this, as you see with the original painting I made, I have a trident, and you can't quite tell on here, but on the posters, you can see it's silver because I used this silver Sharpie for it. Now, I do not have a silver Sharpie for you, but that is a-okay. What you can do is you can still paint it with the white. So you're going to go in with the white. I can't do this upside down. So I am going to be right back after I angle. Okay, we got an angle here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to dip into that white. You're going to want this much. And you're going to make the trident in that little quadrant that we had before, this one right here. And to make this trident, what you're going to do is very easy. You draw a U, like so. And then you're going to draw a line in between your U, like that. Dip into that white again. You're going to make it nice and thick. Draw in lowercase l and put a slash right through it, like so. Dip, dip, dip in. And you're going to draw at the very tip. We'll paint some arrows onto your trident. And then boom, you have your trident. And if you do happen to have a metallic Sharpie on hand at your house, one, I'm very jealous because I had to go out and buy my metallic Sharpies when I was painting these. You could do that just by drawing it on there. But there, yes, we are done with our planet. It looks very cute, very fun, and we absolutely love it. We love our god of the sea. We love Neptune. And actually, fun fact, I have Neptune earrings. But yes, this is our final painting for the Tiny Painting series of planets. We are going to have some more tiny paintings next year. We're going to be doing 2. And also stick around for some fun crafts by my coworker Mary Lynn. She always has really great fun crafts for everybody. And she's going to be showing some people some wrapping techniques in December. So I guys, hope you guys come to that. Hope you enjoy your time. Hope you enjoy my blackened fingers from the canvas. And have a lovely time, everyone. Bye.